happen to be part of a corporate that is in higher education. And I happen to be part of a corporate in higher education that is also part of a education brand that is 60 years old and is one of the most trusted and revered names in the Indian education industry. So Manipal as a brand in healthcare or in education is one of the top brands in the country. There are corporate extensions outside the university space in education, where we are able to do industry academic collaborations. We are able to do skilling or reskilling or skilling for job roles of today. We are able to do those things which is not very easy to do inside a regulated university environment. If you want to do anything new in a university, either bring about innovation within the schools or courses or programs or degrees that you run, or by the time you actually have to set up any new school or skilling or education pathway, it takes a lot of regulation requirement. Industry today is as it is not happy about the graduation output that this country is producing. While industry keeps lamenting about it, industry also should actually step forward and work with academia in creating those co-created systems that give them the output they need. So university regulation is a bane on one side, industry's inertia is a bane on the other side. Somewhere in between, the Manipal group found that creating a corporate entity and going after both B2C and B2B skilling and cooperation with industry was perhaps the way to go. Naturally, that involved building institutions, that involved building academies, that involved building content, that involved putting together SOEs. So, naturally, people who were seasoned in corporate and projects or delivery operations were actually contacted and, through the various networks that Mr. Mohandas Pai and Dr. Ranjan Pai had, they reached out to a lot of professionals and I was one of them. So in 2009, when I was contacted to ascertain interest, it was more because I was a delivery and operations professional. So they were setting up a new university in Malaysia, which did not suffer from the regulatory constraints of India. This academy, the Manipal Banking Academy, was something that was in a growth phase. So they needed a strong leadership in creating operational SOPs, ensuring quality delivery and customer delight for the industry academia boot camps that we created. So Manipal Academy of Banking was one of the first boot camps we created. We went on to create such boot camps in IT. We've even got Manipal Global Skills Academy running now. We tried vocational programs too, even though it was not successful for other reasons. All of these required building a delivery organization, building a project organization, and that is where my strengths lie. So to that extent, I'm still very much a corporate professional with a sweet spot now that I'm 60 today. I retired this year, and it is giving me a chance to give back to the education industry and the very necessary challenge that lies before much of industry in India today and much of Indian society itself of how do we upskill our youth to become the kind of professionals and acquire those skills which are going to help us leapfrog for the next 20 years. So Vision 2050, Digital India, how do we empower the middle classes, how do we gain more and more economic value addition in the hinterland, how do we encourage small industry, medium industry. So education has a lot to do with it, and industry is working with these pockets somewhere in their supply chain have to kind of cooperate with academia, create boot camps, create very specific skilling programs which help these people have market knowledge, get into better standardized production methods, ethics if you will, more intelligent generally financially, getting the banking system to work with them in a way that marketplace, finances, larger industry and quality come together to help, let us say, an ancillary producer, horticultural producer. All of these guys have to add value. Somewhere there, education of academies of the sort we run plays a major role. So for me, it was a very natural progression and a very satisfying one at that. As a group since 2009, we invested heavily in SAP. With SAP, we wanted to create a complete ecosystem of platforms which serve not just our foundational technology required for any enterprise, your financial backend, your HR backend, your procurement backend, and your services backend. We also wanted to kind of develop SAP into a student lifecycle management, student education experience. As it turned out through the years, while the foundational technology piece actually settled down for the corporate, we operate 3 universities. We used to operate 4 universities abroad. We now operate 3 universities abroad. When we tried to match the varying needs of the schools and the faculty and the students in all these universities, we found SAP becoming increasingly, what shall I say, strenuous and difficult to assimilate to what we needed. So over time, while SAP brought up the foundational technology area, we've experimented with a lot of Microsoft platforms. We experimented with a lot of standalone platforms to manage content, to manage learning, to manage academic administration. Till the point of time we realized that this approach of too many platforms is not really working. So what we did in 2017 or 18, we went with the Microsoft in now 2016 platform, and we custom created a complete student lifecycle management system, and that we successfully implemented both in Manipal University, Manipal, as well as our schools in Dubai, and we were about to implement it in Malaysia also in our medical schools. Of course, Manipal Academy of Banking, which is one of our largest schools, is also on the annual. We began to realize COVID happened, and then the entire projects took a bit of a backstep. As things turned out, by the time we came out of COVID and started relooking at our technology strategy for the student, faculty, institution side, we began to realize that now 2016 itself was becoming end of life, and Microsoft themselves have come up with a new platform called Business Central. And in Business Central, they showed us the capability of replicating and building that state student lifecycle management system. We also knew that there were other platforms in the market which offered an end-to-end academic administration capability or lifecycle management capability. We knew there were world-class learning management systems that could be integrated. We took our time and standardized on 3 platforms finally. One was Microsoft Business Central, which is being implemented in our Malaysian Medical College, our Dubai Science, Technology, Engineering Management University, as well as possibly in our corporate office here in Bangalore for the foundational technology side. So, and the other 2 platforms we standardized on was, we took on Brightspace, D2L Brightspace as the LMS platform of choice across our institutions. We also identified CollPoll as a nimble, very utilitarian and easy platform that could be implemented for relatively simpler and less regulated schools of arts. So Manipal Academy of Banking is where we started with CollPoll. We already have Business Central, like I told you, in Malaysia and Dubai. Brightspace is a LMS that we are using across all our schools right now in Malaysia, Dubai, and in Manipal Academy of Banking. Over time, we are also aiming to move the learning management system into CollPoll. CollPoll actually has been a very successful implementation for us here in Manipal Academy of Banking. Microsoft Business Central has also been a great implementation in Malaysia. We will continue with Brightspace wherever we have Business Central as an installation. Wherever we decide to adopt CollPoll, we will have it as a single platform. These will be our standard platforms, and over time we believe that student experience, faculty experience will definitely improve for one good reason, that we have taken an approach towards these projects as more of user-owned projects. We have not treated them as technology-driven projects. Technology today, with with the various developments you have in cloud technology, in low-code, no-code development, in UI and UX becoming not just more friendly but multi-device compatible, we don't have to worry ourselves about the technology. We just have to draw a complete flow of how we live our daily lives across our multiple functions, identify all our pain points and, shall I say, constraints along this journey in whatever cap I wear, whether I wear it as a student, as a faculty, as a staff, as a regulator, as a parent, as an industry person coming in trying to recruit talent from here. We mapped all these journeys and said that as long as we know these journeys well and we are able to define our requirements very well, the partners who are offering these platforms, such as Business Central, or implementing these platforms, such as Brightspace or Business Central or CollPoll's, for that matter, they have been very successful in actually fitting their offering to our requirement very closely. And like I said, this has been extensively user-owned. So the persons or departments or teams that are driving these projects are actually users. Typically, you will have a technology department trying to run these projects with users being consulted on their needs. We completely flipped the model. We took our technology guys out, saying that our partner is giving us a platform, we don't need a technology guy. So we took all our user journeys, student, faculty, curriculum, institutional, administrative, and we started kind of picking it up module by module, and we helped the platform teams look at what we needed through our eyes. The rest was very easy, it got configured the way we wanted. There are still things we need, but which are very much on a development map within, I would say, the next 6 months. Suddenly, this has become an enablement, and we've forgotten that it's something that's built on, definitely these things are built on very robust technology. The downtimes or the access times or the, shall I say, failure rates in the operations of these platforms are next to nil. And that way, I think the game changer for us has been in letting users own these projects. And that has made a significant difference. We've reduced the number of platforms, we've let users run these projects, and we've made choices of platform vendors who not only extend their full support, but have proven records of having built a robust product, tested across multiple clients. When someone comes in and says, "Boss, this is too simple," and you're like, "Good for you, isn't it? What did you expect it to be?" No, I thought this was, I had to really learn a lot, or I'd be really challenged before I could actually adapt into this. The next thing I know is that not only do I have features and buttons and workflows explained in a manner that I can easily relate it to what the function I conduct. It is so easily relatable, and it is so simple that it wasn't half as strenuous as I thought it was. That is a great thing. In these days when people pride themselves on all kinds of bells and whistles and gizmos and frills and jargon that goes around selling a platform, the fact that a user comes across and tells you that, "Listen, I actually understood this easily right the first time around," is a great compliment. That is one. The second is, apart from the user experience being easy, the platform is built in a very uncluttered way. It is simple, straight, the UI is just enough. So much so that, there are deficiencies we've highlighted, and we'd like to see some improvements in some of the areas, especially the controls over roles and permissions, etc. But for that, the way it is structured, and on the first pass, when you study your own workflow and you see what is available in the platform, you had a close to 75% fit. And that to me is a very unique thing, and the platform still remains configurable. Usually you have the building blocks and you have to actually define your operating procedures and processes and then actually build the workflow in a platform, which is the one extreme of configurability, if you will. But then it's easier if it comes in with a 75% fit already. And I think that way, being customized to Indian universities and Indian higher education systems was a major advantage. The third, of course, is its ability to integrate with other platforms. So if I have to, integrate it with, and the fact that it comes with a learning management system too, which once again needs to scale up to meet the standards of a global class LMS. But it is there already. It's about 60% there. There's only a little bit of work that needs to be done to get it across. So the chance that it offers that I can be your student life cycle system, I can be your academic administration system, I can be your invoicing and billing system, student accounting system, I can be your learning management system, I can be your examination system. Quite rare to find so many capabilities available within 4 to 5 months of implementation in a single platform. While all of that can do with a little more of refinement, the fact that it's already there is a bigger thing to say. The resistance to change is born out of uncertainty, doubt, anxiety. And especially when people are pushing you to the deep end of a project of change, in any particular function you're conducting, and you're not very sure that leadership is not supporting it, or leadership is there hand in glove with you in trying to manage this journey, your diffidence increases. You'd rather not take the risk. I think it is the duty of leadership to take the first step forward, lead it from the front. Make sure that people understand the why and wherefores of the project, why you need to automate, why you need to standardize, why you need to make customer experience, staff experience, user experience actually better, and why this change or this implementation is actually going to make lives better. And like I said before, kindly keep technology out of it. Do not start with technology. Start with the fact that I'm going to give you a tool that's going to make your life easier, and I'm going to sit here with you and make sure it's implemented. Don't worry. If it works, you and I will find out together. If it doesn't work, you and I will find out together. The vendor will be here, and I'm sitting here anchoring the whole process, at least for the first 2 months, till I know that I can stand back and let you run this ship forward. That is what happened in MEP. CollPoll hated the very sight of my face because I was there, right in the air with my staff, and we kind of made sure that we extracted every last ounce of feature or capability that we could. I would say that it is not the resistance to change which is your problem. It is the fact that leadership doesn't take ownership of a project that is a problem. Leadership takes ownership and stands in there and leads the project. You will be surprised as to how easy change is. In fact, people will turn around and say, hey, we should have done this before. Why are we doing it so late? That is important. To add to my earlier statement as to why resistance to change is not the big deal. Today you have senior, super senior citizens in India using mobile phones and every feature on it. If you see some of the social media performances of the 60 and 70 plus crowd, you're actually saying that, wow, why did that happen? Mobile telephony and all the features that went with mobile telephony were never presented as technology. They were presented as an exciting new lifestyle item. And look at what happened. Instead, when you're trying to sell a server or a network or even a desktop at times, people say, oh, that's technology, I'm not sure I can handle it. Why didn't that happen with mobile phones? And here is where the penny must drop for you. If programs and platforms can be presented that way in terms of making workflows, experiences, synergies, connectedness, efficiencies more natural, people will forget that there's tech behind this. They'll appreciate it somewhere and it'll be somewhere in the back of your mind that this is wonderful tech, but sure, tech se hame kya lena dena. Let me focus on how it's making my life simpler. Coming to support, very critical. No prizes for guessing that. It is like getting a new set of a new wardrobe stitched, and you'll still need to go back to the tailor for multiple fitments and arrangements and color matches and what have you. Typically, it was a good thing that something like CollPoll, for example, came in with a 75% fit. Our experience with Business Central has been different. Business Central is one beautiful tool set, but you need to literally build what you need in terms of the workflow. So you will have collaboration tools, you will have database tools, you will have programming tools, you will have Power BI, and in this environment, you have to pull together elements, you have to pull together programming and create your workflow entirely the way you want, which is a good way of doing things, which is one way of doing things. But for more non-complex academic environments, if you will, or with not the kind of complexity perhaps that large-scale universities face, even there, I believe CollPoll would be useful. It already comes with a ready-made kit, and therefore support becomes essential. So you got it in, and now that particular entity is going to need at least 10 variations around every function. Naturally, you're a product, and you have to follow a certain development approach. You cannot keep kind of tweaking the software for every little need of the client. Being there, understanding the need, explaining to the client if you have a better solution, or for that matter, assuring the client that give us about X number of months, this is on our product roadmap, we'll get it done for you. That support is essential. Support is more of reassurance and being there, in the space of a call or in the space of a handshake within whatever we agree. What you actually deliver in terms of changes and enablements can practically flow over time. Don't become defensive in support is my suggestion. Support should always be something which is a relationship. Your relationship with that client doesn't end at selling the platform. The relationship actually grows when you become part of the user journey, and then when you realize what the limitations are or when a feature is needed, just sit down and be real. Say that, listen, I can or I can't do this right now. I'll give you a temporary fix for now, and I'll give you a permanent fix a little later. That way, the user is part of you. Erase that line between you and the user, and that is where support actually starts building its foundations. And that is how we've tried to run support with CollPoll. Of course, I do yell at times, and that's specific. You always need somebody to kind of raise the decibel a bit to get things going at times. But then I'm amazed at the kind of commitment and the kind of professionals I met in CollPoll. What a wonderful team, There's so many capable people in various facets of the platform, all very sweet, all very cooperative. I remember putting them through day-long grinds initially. They didn't bat an eyelid, and very sweet about it. It actually helps build the relationship. And so once the relationship is built well, the trust factor that I have, that CollPoll is going to solve this for me sooner or later, they're committed to my success. And that is what I call the DNA of support.